The Industry 101. Here are some highlights in this episode. I think that, a lot of people are already kind of on that wave. They jumped on it almost immediately. They need to be encouraged, and what better way than through art to make that happen? I think that somebody out there, somebody watching this broadcast, is probably going to be the one to come up with that idea. The coronavirus pandemic, jumped on the horizon and just basically put a chokehold on our entire world. Welcome to the Industry 101. Class is beginning right now. Thank you for joining us on the Industry 101, where if you have questions, I'll get you answers. I'm your host, Robbie Jenkins, and when we come back, we're going to address two questions that are very, very crucial. One happens to be about the current pandemic and how it affects live entertainment, and also about nutrition for the touring artist. We'll be right back.
Provides young people opportunities to use their creative spirit, to develop their individual artistic talents, and to develop new works of art while participants work in a diverse ensemble setting.
I create music because I believe what I believed at age 10. Music has power. It can evoke feelings on a global scale, whether it's making people dance, inspire healing, fall in love, or buy a bottle of water. Music can do it. Each melody, chord progression, rhythm, or tempo can deeply affect the core of anyone, anytime, anywhere. That's why I create music, because I believe in what it can do. I believe music has power. Hey, we're back. We're back with a question from BG from Greenwich, Connecticut. And first of all, thank you, BG, for your submission. Welcome to the Industry 101 family. Great question coming up. The question is, what do you think is going to happen with live music, considering what's been happening of late? I'm going to go out on a limb and just pretty much kind of speculate that you are referring to the current viral pandemic that is going on here in our country and actually globally, and how it's going to affect the ability for people to have live concerts and have gatherings of any kind. There's so many restrictions, unfortunately, that had to be placed on everything across the board. Anything that we're doing socially now has just been kind of distant and isolating, and just for everybody's benefit and safety. I think what's already been happening is kind of a precursor to a new type of experience, and I don't even say it's new. Immediately after the coronavirus pandemic, jumped on the horizon and just basically put a chokehold on our entire world, almost immediately artists started doing like concerts, live concerts, and we're talking about independent artists as well as established artists. They just, they would get up, even if they just did one song. Some did like full concerts, just really intimate acoustic versions of their popular hits and new songs they had written to kind of inspire and encourage us. This is not new though. It happens to be something that has been done. There's some artists that got their career started by posting videos like that, and it wasn't associated or connected to an issue. It was just them just trying to showcase their talent. And I think what we're going to see is a lot more of that. There's someone I saw in the news recently who kind of got different musicians from different corners of the world to play on this one song, and they created a video out of it. So there'll be a lot of creative ways, and technology I think is going to have to kick in and develop some new apps, because we have some great ones out already. But I think they're going to start coming up with some more that will enable creatives to get together and perform and do this on that level, until we get to a point where we can return back to the arenas and the small theaters and the clubs and recitals and what have you. So that's something that I foresee coming. I think that somebody out there, somebody watching this broadcast, is probably going to be the one to come up with that idea or develop some software in terms of how we can do this in a way where the clarity is good, the quality of the visual is good. We have the technology to do multiple cameras shots if we need to, and then it's just a matter of somebody editing it, or maybe the app will do the editing for you, and who knows. Maybe I'm just spewing out some ideas, but I think that's probably what's going to happen with live music, at least in the immediate future, because it's something it's necessary. People need to be entertained, they need to be uplifted, they need to be encouraged, and what better way than through art to make that happen? And I think that a lot of people are already kind of on that wave. They jumped on it almost immediately. One of the things I always say about songwriters and musicians is that we are basically historians. If you want to know anything about the issues or the topics that were really hot button topics of an era, listen to the music. Anything creative, photography, film, television, fashion, books, literature, even fine art with painting. If you in addition to music, those are all historical documentations of the things that were happening during that time period. And right now, that is exactly what's happening with our current pandemic. And I think a lot of people are kind of looking for that. They immediately went online and looked for a source that would be able to provide that for them. So to summarize my answer, I think we're going to start to see a lot of online concerts, presentations, one-offs in terms of one song. It's just going to be a lot of that. I think a lot more of that's going to happen. And some of that may still stick around even after we're able to go to live concerts. I think some people are still going to be doing that. So, that's pretty much where I think it's going for the time being. All right, when we come back, we'll address another question that talks about how to stay healthy when you're on the road if you're a traveling musician, which I was, and I can tell you it's not easy to do. There's so much good food out there, but you shouldn't be eating all of it. We'll be right back. And now we bring you an FYI moment. This moment will present to you an example of some of the things that I mentioned in my responses to question 1, and it's sponsored by Cold Cast Couture, a fashion line that is cut from a different cloth, and Overture Entertainment Incorporated. Strong inceptions, lasting impressions. During my response to question 1, I spoke about the potential for more online entertainment. So did you know that on April 18th, Lady Gaga partnered with the World Health Organization, WHO, for a virtual concert that she called One World Together at Home. Promoters Global Citizen spearheaded the streamed music festival and worked along with the 11-time Grammy winner to pull in other artists to join her. One such artist is 5-time Grammy winner Billie Eilish. Music legend, icon, and 8-time Grammy winner Sir Elton John. Detroit native, and that's right, you see it, 3-time Grammy winner Lizzo. And Chris Martin, who has a career total of 7 Grammy wins and 34 nominations. And then there's music legend and icon, 13-time Grammy winner Sir Paul McCartney. That's the guy on the left. That guy on the right, I don't know who that is. And then finally, living legend, music icon, 29-time Grammy winner Mr. Stevie Wonder, whom of which I have been a fan since the age of 3. Now, back in 1982, he had a hit with this gentleman in the picture with me, Ebony and Ivory. They won a Grammy. I wonder if they did a rendition together. That would have been cool. 7 performers, 7 locations, all performing from home. Proof positive that the apps and software do exist for you to pull this off yourself. Give it a shot. Good luck. Coming up next. Wow, it doesn't matter. I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter what level of touring you're doing. If you're doing any touring at all, this is important. You can't be out of breath. Nobody wants to see that. Not to mention, there's this other aspect. You have clothes that you wear on stage. If you get too big, you can't fit them. You look crazy. The very first tour I was on, I started off probably at 180 in terms of weight. I can honestly tell you 11 months later, towards the end of the tour, I picked up an extra 15 to 20 pounds. But you should know,
gel coat.
When the fourth row.
And one night we fell in love.
Talking about
This house, that car you drive.
So scampy for limited.
Not an option, I'm a man. Not an option. But the way you're gazing at me just made me bite my lip. Hey! Love is not supposed to hurt. Just totally anew. Hi, I'm Robbie Jenkins, and as all of you are doing your part to fight the coronavirus pandemic by staying home, we here at Overture Entertainment Television will do our best to provide programming that both educates and entertains you. So please, stay home, stay safe, and tune in.
Tune in.
Tune in.
Tune in.
Tune in.
Tune in.
Tune in. Make sure you tune in.
Tune in.
Tune in.
Stay home.
While you're at home,
Perfect time for the whole family to tune in.
No laugh this time. This is a serious matter. Thank you for remaining in your seats and not leaving class. And now, question 2 in this episode of The Industry 101. Don't forget to stick around for your assignment at the end. So we're back, and thank you, BG from Greenwich, Connecticut, for that great question concerning the pandemic that is currently happening globally and how it affects live music. Moving right along, we're going to move on to SG from Monroe, Connecticut, and this question is kind of related in the sense of health. The question is, how important is nutrition to the touring artist? Wow, it doesn't matter. I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter what level of touring you're doing. If you're doing any touring at all, this is important. The very first tour I was on, I started off probably at 180 in terms of weight. I can honestly tell you 11 months later, towards the end of the tour, I picked up an extra 15 to 20 pounds. And that's because there's so much food out there. It's so good. And some of it is so affordable that you don't have to pay that much. So you're eating good. Well, you're eating a lot, and I don't know if that's necessarily equating to good, but it tastes good. Not to mention that the promoters, part of the contract writer, is that they provide food for you. They provide a meal. So there's these spreads all over the place, and there's fruit and stuff there, but you're not really focusing on that because you see that chicken down the other end of the table. You jumping on that. So I think what happens is that we get so caught up in just eating out of boredom too, a lot of times. Like, you have all this food that's available to you, and then you're finishing shows late, and then you just eat after the show because there's food. And if you jump on a tour bus, you're doing that run down the road, and you're just like, I think I could eat something. And you kind of ask the bus driver, hey, if you see this restaurant, you happen to see a sign for it, could you just stop? I had a favorite. I can't say it because, I'm not doing any endorsements at the moment. But there was one restaurant in particular that contributed probably 75% of that extra poundage that I accumulated at the end of the tour. And it's late, and it could be 3 a.m. You're just eating a full meal, and then you go lay down in your bunk. So that's never good, to eat and just lay down with all that food in your system. It's not digesting properly. It's sitting in there. Your body's absorbing it as fat and storing it. And if you're not burning it on a regular basis, or at least making a conscious effort to, then it will affect you. I knew that one of the things that had to be a focal point is that I'm out there to do a job, and my job is to perform for whoever has bought a ticket. And I can't do that effectively if I'm out of shape. Thank God that I was able to still do what I got paid to do, and not need an oxygen tank. Nobody wants to see. Look, I was singing background, I was playing guitar, I was playing keyboards, and I was dancing. So, you can't be out of breath. Nobody wants to see that. Not to mention, there's this other aspect. You have clothes that you wear on stage. If you get too big, you can't fit them. You look crazy because the clothes are too tight. And then you might even find like some of the stitching is coming apart, or you lost a button. You have to get a giant safety pin. I did that. I'm not gonna front. I had to get a safety pin to keep my pants closed on a suit that I was wearing on stage. I still have that suit. Maybe in a future episode or something, I'll show you. It was a nice suit, but now it's missing a button. So in any case, I think that the key thing is that you want to make sure you stay healthy. And one way to do that is to probably try to maintain as close as possible the eating habits, if they were healthy, that you had when you were at home before you got on the tour bus. Try to maintain that. That really does help. And I think that it requires a lot of self-discipline, which is what you need anyway. And you want to extend your life by a couple more years if you can, by just taking good care of yourself while you're young, right? So I would say that nutrition is very important, and probably the least discussed or least thought about situation, unless you are already health conscious. So if you're not health conscious, I would recommend that you start thinking about that before you get on the road. And that helps. You know, the other thing too that kind of helps you is just to try to stay as physically active as possible. I also toured with jump ropes, and I would go find a space in the parking lot of a hotel and just jump some rope. That food, diet, and exercise go hand in hand. You know, so it is connected. It is relevant to this discussion, and to try to find that balance and get as much rest as possible, because that also will do it. You know, if you're stressing too much, your body tends to, your metabolism speeds up, but then your body realizes that it's depleting itself of some nutrients, so it tries to hold on to it at the same time. I'm not a nutritionist, but I that's what I see that's happened. You know, stress is a factor also in terms of weight accumulation. So SG from Monroe, Connecticut, nutrition is very important to a touring artist, an artist period, and all of us at large, all of us human beings that are roaming the face of this earth. Please take good care of yourself. Watch your diets. Diet and exercise go hand in hand. Make sure you do a little of both as much as you can, and as often as you can. And we're gonna come right back and we'll talk a little bit more on the Industry 101. Be right back.
Do you know what the #1 special feature is for Overture Entertainment Television? It's free. That's right. There's no monthly fee. You get episode notifications and premiere chats for every new series premiere. Go to the channel on YouTube, click here and here, and that's it. Welcome to Overture Entertainment Television. Oh yeah, please hit this button too, because sharing is caring. Yeah. I wrote on quite a few of these, and some of those, to get to some of these stages, so I can do this, and I collected quite a few of these in the process. Signed quite a few of these, so that I can get in the booth to record quite a few of these. The music business could be so cold, so I think I can help. If you have a question, submit it with your initials and where you're from, via email. You got questions? I'll get you answers. Now, we don't give legal advice. Do I look like a lawyer to you? But then what does a lawyer look like? Just drop us an email. The Industry 101. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Yeah.
Get ready to take notes, because here's this week's assignment.
Question number 1. What do you think is going to happen with live music, considering what's been happening of late? While answering question 1, I suggested that you find a way to present online concerts and/or performances. Nothing is worse than a concert that you can't see and hear well, so make sure you choose an app that gives you the best possible quality visually and audibly. and that the technology is easy enough so you're not struggling with it. And finally, make sure to choose an app that fits your style of performance. Are you a band or are you an acoustic performer? That will determine the quality of your outgoing audio. Question number 2. How important is nutrition to the touring artist? I'm not a professional nutritionist or a dietitian, but I can tell you from professional experience that though challenging at times, trying to maintain the same eating habits I had at home did work well for me. But one of the worst habits I picked up was eating because there was nothing else to do. That added up to another 15 to 20 pounds. Need I say more? Get some exercise, but don't rely on the hotel gyms and weight rooms. Their schedules may not coincide with yours. Do something more portable like jumping rope or isometric exercises. And finally, rest is key. It restores your energy, cuts down on stress levels, which could lead to weight gain and other health issues. And your tip for this episode, make sure you find a fitness app that can help you maintain your health. That's it for your assignment. Good luck.
We're done. All right, so I want to thank BG from Greenwich, Connecticut and SG from Monroe, Connecticut for your submissions. We appreciate you. And I'm getting a lot of love from Connecticut. That's my home state, but I do know that there are others who have questions globally. We would like to hear from you. Send those questions in to the email address at the bottom of the screen. Thank you, Team 101, for being here and supporting. And, thank you all for joining us for another episode of The Industry 101. See you next class. This is your host, Robbie Jenkins, signing out. Take care.
Yeah.